53. Did you see that fantastic intro? That was really cool. And I also could hear it because we
عليكم
have a
السلام
different setup
ورحمة
today.
يا
So
أحمد.
that was fun. Today we're going to talk about PvP with the developers at
زي ما
Stone.
قلت في
But before we
المنتدى
jump into that, we'll have some priority.
حيتكلمون عن الدارك زون وتغييرات الاونلاين في ديفيجن، ونشوف اذا كان في يعني شيء كويس ولا لا
I love
حيصير.
the transition. Cool.
حنعرف.
So we have no maintenance tomorrow. That is the second week in a row. So we hope we all have fun playing. As we have said before, if there's anything that is, broken, or if you think there's anything wrong in the game currently that is not mentioned, please let us know on the forums for everything. We know that there's, that invincibility bug for the first game of the division. After a couple of maintenance are missed. So if there's something weird or worrying tomorrow, just let us know. We'll fix it as soon as possible. Cool. Next up, we have PTS, and that is online. It's been online since Monday. You probably know from based on your reactions to something.
عليكم السلام ورحمة يا
We'll
كينج
have
عبود.
more info on the second wave for the PTS very soon. It's coming up in the next couple of days. Lots of more balance changes and some other things that we haven't mentioned yet. So if you're looking forward to that,
حاليا في
keep your
البي تي اس
eye on the
شغال اللي
Division
هو
Twitter because we're
تجريب
gonna put all the
للتحديث
information there.
القادم.
And again, it's in the next couple of days, so
فبنشوف
you shouldn't have to wait
بنشوف
for
السالفة.
it too long. Cool. Next up, PTS feedback. We want to talk about one specific thing because it has been, getting our attention, and that's the Eagle Bearer. So
موجفون.
we heard a lot about the nerf and
والله
how you feel about
ما
it,
ادري ايش
and I
اقول لك
think
صراحة،
that's really great that you expressed it.
بس هذه
Some
كفاية
people more
عليك.
constructive than others, but overall we're hearing you, we're listening to you. What we want to do is, and repeat here now, is also that the PTS is a test server. That's literally the name of it, which means there's iteration on there that will, we change
عليكم
things,
السلام ورحمة
we
يا ان
revert
بي
things, we
فيلن
add things. So keep that in mind. Whenever
وعمر.
you see something
عليكم
on the
السلام.
PTS, it's never final for sure. Like,
عليكم
you can
السلام اكس
always
دي.
make changes. It applies to the live game as well, but the PTS is even more
صوتي تمام انا
accessible for that.
ولا
You
اعلى
can
من
make changes between
البث
waves. So
ولا
just keep that in mind.
يعني البث اعلى مني ما ادري.
Now, before we talk about the Eagle Bearer itself, I just want to also say that with Wave 2, there's going to be a lot of balance changes coming to the PTS. We're going to have increases to weapon damage for weapons. We're going to have, gear set balance as well. There's
عليكم
other things
السلام
coming that
يا
we haven't
أحمد.
seen or that we haven't
تسلم
talked about
يا
in
جيجي.
details that will give you a fuller picture of what we have
موجود يا
intended,
كينج موجود.
with the TU6 balance
طيب
in general.
بنتابع
So
نشوف
just
ايش
keep that in
الموضوع.
mind when we talk about
إذا هم أخذوا
everything
بريكات
that is
حتكلم
Eagle Bearer
شوية،
related. Now,
بعدها حنشوف الخلاصة
Frederick
بعدين
said that
آخر
he
البث
gets it on
حقهم.
Twitter as well, and we mentioned that on a couple of different occasions ourselves on Reddit and on forums as well. The Eagle Bearer currently is just too strong. We feel that way still, even with your feedback on the nerf. We understand that there's the requirement that the exotics are powerful and competitive and well liked, but we also think that having one weapon that dominates not only PvE but also PvP, and again it's in both modes, it's not a nerf that is
كالعادة.
only because of one mode.
رشاش
It's
الإيجل
too much for the
اللي
game.
من
We want to
الريد
have a little bit
شايفين إنه مرة
more,
أو بي
wiggle room
فضعفوه
and want people
شويتين.
to try out some things. Because currently, if you have the Eagle Bearer, no matter what build you play, you just have a great weapon that fits everything. And we think that's a little bit boring. But again, we also understand that exotics, they should feel unique, they should feel powerful. So what we're going to do,
عليكم
and
السلام
that
والرحمة
includes the Eagle
جميعا.
Bearer, is we're going to look at talents for the exotics. So we're going to look at that in Wave 2 for the PTS. It will be coming on there. We're going to buff a bunch of talents. That includes also some of the talents of the Eagle Bearer. So we're not currently reverting back the nerf, but you get a bigger picture.
هذا البث
And
الاسبوعي
we're
حق
also going to
لعبة
look at
ديفيجن
altered
2
talents and active
واللي كان
talents.
حق
And
ديفيجن 1
they
برضو.
will not only be buffs, there will also be other changes, aka nerfs. So just for full clarity's sake. But there's going to be a lot of changes coming. And if you still think, that the Eagle Bearer is too bad at this point, give us feedback. But please keep in mind all of these changes that are coming, and then test them out when the PTS is going live.
يب التغييرات اللي حيتكلم عنها
With
كلها مع
that out
التغيير
of the
اللي
way,
صار على الإيجل
I also want to
بيرل
say, because
هذه
I'm
كلها
not the
حاليا
perfect,
فقط في البي تي
you know,
اس.
person to talk about all the balance things. I don't know
فإذا
everything,
كان مرة
but we have
ضعيف
very smart people
النرف
working on
حقهم
these things,
حيرفعونه
and
مرة
that's
ثانية
why we'll
يقوونه.
have Frederick Tulander on the show next week. Meaning we'll have somebody who knows exactly what's going on, the philosophy behind some of the changes, and also which changes are coming, in the future. So, if you are very interested in that topic, tune in next week because we have him here. Cool. Awesome. With that out of the way, we have a fantastic duo of guests here today with us, which leads us to our next segment,
إيه الضيوف
which is the
المعروفين
interview with our game designers.
من ريد ستورم الخاصين في الدارك زون. حبي يعرفوهم مرة ثانية.
Cool. From all the way over from North Carolina, we have
Terry
Keith and
وكيف.
Terry coming from Redstorm over the ocean, swimming, flying to us. Welcome, guys.
Hey, how's it going? Good to see everybody.
Very good. How are you guys? It's been a while since we had you on the show, so I was very
شوي
excited to hear that you
وبيتكلمون
were
عن
available. So
الدارك
now we made
زون
it happen.
ووقتها
How are
خلاص
things
حنركز
in
فيهم.
North Carolina?
اي داري
Going
داري
well.
داري.
We've been super busy, having a lot of fun, working, and of course battling hurricanes and all kinds of other stuff like
The
that.
small
We're having a
things.
good time.
Yeah, but glad to be back on the show.
Cool.
Yep.
Excellent. So obviously we bring you on board because you are our PvP experts and on some parts. We also want to reiterate Redstorm is a large part of the PvP development, but we also have people that are here in Massive that do some PvP things. So while Terry and Keith will answer a bunch of
Absolutely.
things, they will also have some things where they, are not as involved or where somebody snuck in a little change. So keep that in mind when we talk about these changes.
هذا البث حق
Cool.
لعبة ديفيجن
Let's
2.
start off
البث الاسبوعي
by
حقهم حق
looking at
معلومات
TU6.
اللعبة.
So guys, what are plans for TU6 in terms of the dark zone? We had probably
خلاص
a goal
الحين
set up
نركز معاهم في
beforehand.
الدارك.
We know that the community is talking about, for example, more active dark zones. What are the things that you guys have been looking at before starting on TU6?
Yeah, good start.
Yeah.
The team did a lot of great work on TU6. We're actually real proud, as always. With the time and resources we had, we wanted to focus on two big topics for the dark zone. The first one was the DZ incentive, right? Making sure that people were incentivized to go to the DZ. And then the second one was full servers. That's really the two big ones we wanted to focus on, along with a whole bunch of other stuff we'll talk about today, but those are the two big points.
Yeah, they're monster points.
Yeah.
Cool. And if we look back at last week where we talked about loot targeting and the brand sets being fleshed out and everything, we feel, and you can obviously chime in there, that also helps PvP a little bit because there's this more build diversity. People can try out more things, but also get things that they want to try out for their PvP build, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, being able to just open up the mega map and see, okay, what am I going to go play today? How am I going to work towards that next build has a huge impact on PvP, helps get people on the same level playing field faster.
شكرا على مشاركتك يا
I think
طارق.
it's really going to change the experience.
Cool. But enough talk of last week. We obviously have changes that some of them are on the PTS already, but also things that we haven't talked about in detail yet. So for example, when we talk about the activity in the dark zone and the community saying, for example, they would like to have 16 or 20 players or 100 players in a dark zone, our goal, as you said, was to have a full dark zone. What are the changes coming into TU6 that you think will make an impact on there?
Yeah, so, we developed the whole experience around 12, right? That was our benchmark. That's what we tested the whole development. That's what, we all kind of bought into. And unfortunately, a lot of people have never had that experience, right? And there's lots of little reasons for that, but this is the patch where we're taking the big step forward to make sure that, when you're walking in the dark zone, there's a really high chance you're walking into a big, active 12-player dark zone. So what we're doing now is if you walk into a checkpoint, DZ checkpoint for the first time, and you're not on a server that, is really populated with DZ players, we will initiate a server transfer. We'll get you onto a server with other players wanting to do the same thing you are. And then when you step through the gate, more DZ players will be in there, more people will be coming in behind you, and it'll be a much more active environment.
Yeah, this is a step forward. There's a lot of changes coming in TU6 and in the future, and we wanted to start with this. Start with getting people on servers where they are. To sort of illustrate our thought process, I like metaphors. I'm imagining I got 10 glasses of whiskey.
Okay.
Right? And
I like it
there's
so
a little
far.
bit of whiskey in each glass. As you do.
Uh-huh.
I have a little bit of whiskey in each glass. I want more whiskey in each glass. It doesn't make any sense to increase the glass size.
Right.
That doesn't give me more whiskey in each glass. Sure, that makes my capacity for having more whiskey there, but it doesn't help the glasses I have in front of me.
Sure.
And that's what we're getting with the servers right now. We have a lot of people on a lot of different servers, and we want to condense that down. So raising the player count to 16 or 20 or 178,000, that's not going to help with the full servers.
Yeah, and it definitely wouldn't have helped
Yeah.
until this step is in there, right?
Exactly.
Bring people together.
Yeah, so now we're going to have people on servers together, right?
Yep.
There's more whiskey in each glass.
Very good.
طيب يا
Hopefully that
الويسكي.
makes sense to people.
اول حاجه تكلم عنها اللي تكلمنا عنها من زمان مره
One thing that I
Yeah.
wanted
انه بيغيرون نظام الماتش ميك في الدارك
you
زون
guys said like
ويخليك
because I said like, oh, it's
تدخل
easy matchmaking
يعني
and stuff.
اغلب الوقت
And
تدخل
you're
في
like,
سيرفر
actually, that's
مليان
not
في الدارك
the term that we
زون ما
want to
تلقاه
use
فاضي
because
والحين
it's a
بيطبقونه على
queue system
كلامهم
and you have to sign up for something, but the process actually, as you said, is very fluid,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's not a cumbersome thing. It's not even a thing you really opt into. It's just as I walk through, it's just happening immediately. So sometimes you'll walk
عليكم
into a
السلام
checkpoint,
ورحمة.
you're already on the best server. You already have the best chance of walking through the gate and being in there with 11 other players. And you'll open up the mega map and you'll see extractions going off and landmarks turning red or maybe a manhunt happening, right? And that just happens seamlessly, same way it does right now. Then sometimes maybe you're on a server where everyone's running missions and there's just no one for you to play with. And that's when we'll kick in this new system. We'll get you server transferred immediately, and you'll be off on your way.
Yeah, it's a departure.
يعني فكرتها انه حتى لو انت كنت في سيرفر كل اللي فيه يلعبون مهمات ما حد فيهم يلعب الدارك زون اول ما تجي تدخل عند التشيك بوينت على طول يغيرون سيرفرك لسيرفر ثاني مليان فيه ناس في الدارك زون مو في المهمات عشان تلقى ناس كثير في الدارك زون بس خوف انه هذه يدخلوها في سيرفر اوروبي مع اسي وزي كذا فيصير في لخبطه بينجو الكلام ده بس ما يندرى برضو اللي في عندهم البي تي اس يجربونه.
That's I think a great step forward. But also we want to incentivize, as you said, to have players get more loot or interesting things to engage in the dark zone. So we're going to make changes to supply drops. What can you tell us about that?
لا ما تكلم عن
So
السلاح
supply
انه يطيح
drops,
في مكان
right?
ثاني.
It's so great walking in the dark zone and having an activity already kicking off, or some activity that kicks off that kind of changes your play experience. And people who have been in the dark zone a lot now, they know exactly where those things are going to drop.
Yep.
They know exactly what encounter they're going to see. We really wanted to refresh that experience and try to get a little more rewards in there as well. So now supply drops can drop inside of inactive landmarks. And it's cool. It gives you a really different experience because those environments are so built around that type of combat. And those supply drops are a little special. So you might see faction fights between two factions. They're already fighting over the supply drop, both with their own boss, more opportunities to get loot, or sometimes much larger encounters with multiple bosses of the same faction. So
زودوا عدد شو اسمه عدد السبلاي دروب صناديق الدعم اللي في الدارك زون وبيخلوها تنزل داخل المعالم اللي تكون نظفناها اوريدي خلاص يصير يدخل جو يعني يرسم جوتها سبلاي دروب ما ادري كيف حينزل السبلاي من السماء جوه المبنى بس انه حيصير ولما تروح تلقى فيها بوسين بنوعين كمبيوتر مختلفه هم اساسا قاعد يضربون فانت تروح تجي تذبحهم كلهم وتاخذ السبلاي دروب فعندك موارد السبلاي وعندك موارد الكمبيوتر اللي قاعد تذبحهم كلهم.
If I'm solo, I'm probably going to be sticking to the easier difficulties.
بالعافيه عليك الكباب بالجبن يا
now
عمر.
expanded out into supply drops, and it's something players will learn over time.
Cool. Obviously, the occupied dark zone is something that we also want to improve, but the Black Tusk apparently have other ideas for that in terms of supply drops. So how does that look?
Yeah, so one thing we've heard from the very beginning, right, is the ODZ. We started with this really kind of Spartan approach, very low signs of feedback, very, very hardcore, no normalization, all those things. And we've been adding stuff along the way, right? A couple updates ago, we added the manhunt system back into ODZ, and that really evolved the experience. Now we're taking the next step. We're bringing all the signs and feedback to let you know what's happening in the zone. Opening the mega map, you'll see the extractions happening, all that stuff.
الحين الدارك زون في نوعين في الاوكوبايد وفي الدارك زون النظيف العادي حق المؤدبين. الاوكوبايد ما كان في اي علامات اذا واحد في معلم ولا واحد يسوي استخراج ما حد يعرف العلامات هذه كلها رجعوها للاوكوبايد. الحين اذا دخلت دارك زون اوكوبايد راح تشوف المان فين راح تشوف الاستخراج فين السبلاي دروب كل هذه حتشوفها يعني هذا اوكي ما في ذاك الشيء اللي مره اختلاف كبير الى الان عادي.
Oh, just I'm excited about the ambushes. You do your thing, and then we can talk about those in a minute.
Spoilers, please. We have a strict plan that we have to follow through.
Oh my gosh.
But you brought it up, so now I can't go back because chat is probably going crazy already. So you said ambushes. What does that mean? Like, do I get ambushed by players? Are you coming personally to my players?
يا M4 the Dark كويس إنه اليوتيوب وقف التعليق حقك لحاله من نفسه. يعني استحي على وجهك.
Choppers that are patrolling the ODZ. It's been like, man, don't they see your flare going off? Why aren't they coming in here?
يعني رأيك أوكي كله تمام بس ليش أول كلمتين ما تعرف تتناقش بدون الكلام ذا؟
Once a night, maybe once a week. But there's a chance that when you pop your flare, one of those helicopters sees it, and before your chopper can get there, the Black Tusk are going to invade, and you can decide, do I want to stick around, maybe get some more loot to put on the chopper, or is this maybe not the best moment for me to do this? Maybe I adjust my plan, maybe I flee and go to the other extraction. So it's just another one of those things that kind of keeps you on your toes.
لا ما راح أقدر أسوي المقطع لحاله عشان كذا أنا قلت خلاص بسوي الحركة هذه. البث ونتكلم معاه على طول.
As you said, like the helicopter flying over you and like the red light and everything, I'm already like imagining when you extract, you're like, you look at the sky and you're like, is there a light? Is there no light? Like, is it the sun reflecting? Is there a helicopter coming? Who knows? Cool. I think that's really exciting to have like activities in there that are new.
اوكي حيكون عندك تأثيرات مختلفة عند الاستخراج في الدارك زون الاوكوبايد اللي هو الدارك زون الغير آمن. لما تستخرج ممكن تشوف طيارة جاية على بالك انها هي طيارتك انت حقت الاستخراج بس تكتشف في الأخير انها لا هليكوبتر حقت البلاك تاسك جايين يهجمون عليك عشان يذبحونك فأنت تقدر تحدد يا تذبحهم يا انك تمشي وتستخرج في وقت ثاني. إضافة حلوة يعني بتضيف لك شوية حماس عند الاستخراج.
Valuing your time, right? We want you, if you choose to spend time in the dark zone, you should be rewarded for that. So there's a lot of little things we've done. A big one is we've overhauled the Thieves' Den vendor. Excuse me. We've overhauled the Thieves' Den vendor. So now he has an actual storefront, much like other vendors in the game. He'll have a rotating stock of, very high tier items. We're still kind of figuring out exactly what he's going to sell. But the big change is he trades in the Dark Zone resources. So the Dark Zone resources that you've been stacking up and maybe not spending, now they're really valuable. And what's cool is we wanted to kind of streamline it, make it simpler for players, let more people take part in it. So we've taken the 3 Dark Zone resources that were unique to each environment, combined them together into a single Dark Zone resource you can find in any Dark Zone, giving you more containers in the world to acquire it, and also just tried to make it more meaningful. So now the vendors outside of the dark zone, right there at the gate, they'll also trade in that resource.
Cool. I think that the streamlining especially is very important, right? Like I don't have to remember which zone has which resource and like find all that out. We've seen in chat questions about that being the PTS. You guys can probably tell us exactly like ambushes and like supply drops in the ODZ. Are those on PTS already?
They are on the PTS, and additional changes will be coming into Wave 2. But yeah, those are in there if people want to check them out. It's an
هي المشكلة كذا حرقنا اللعبة من أول أسبوع ولا أول 5 أيام خلصنا كل شيء فيها صار خلاص ما في حاجة ما في شيء نسوي.
Yeah, cool. For the vendor, as Keith just pointed out, like the vendor front hasn't been like decided. Like you might see on the PTS, even in Wave 2, items on there that might not be on there when he's on the live server for TU6. We're still working on that. The team is working with you guys over there as well to like make sure that makes sense and that it's rewarding as well. So don't judge based off of like what you might see on the PTS.
No, the stock that he has on the PTS is purely temporary. It's definitely not sexy enough, and we're aware of that.
And also for the Thieves' Den vendor, he's existed.
Yeah, he's been down there.
Yeah, he's been down there, but he didn't have visibility before. So that's another point that I want to make sure it gets out there.
Absolutely.
Is that when you pop open your mega map, he rotates between the 2 non-ODZs, and you'll see exactly where that Thieves' Den vendor is, so what what DZ to go into to do your rogue loops to get access to him. So it's all there for the player.
Absolutely.
Cool. And one thing that I also want to mention with that rogue loop, you make changes of to the resource, so there's only one DZ resource, but there's also more ways or easier ways maybe to find the resources by going rogue, right?
Yeah, and this was a part of trying to make the DZ experience on par with the open world in terms of incentive. And so now when you go and hack a shade terminal, you get a buff, just like when you resupply an open world control point, right? And it lets you see the loot around you, right? Through walls, gives you updates on what loot is available right now. And so if you go hack a shade terminal, you'll see things start glowing, and you'll be able to kind of have a little more guided experience.
هذا تعديل عادي.
Resources, maybe find some crafting materials that have been added.
المستوطنات الحين لما تأمنوها وبعدين تروح تعطوهم أكل راح يعطيكم تأثير إنك تشوف الصناديق والأغراض اللي حولك عشان تعرف والله إن هناك في صندوق أروح أفكه وأخذ منه موارد. نفس الحركة أضافوها للدارك زون. لما تروح عند الجهاز اللي تضغطه ويحولك روك، أوكي، أو اللي هو يحولك زي السارق. هذا الجهاز لما تضغطه بعد التحديث راح يبين لك الصناديق اللي حولك. تعديل عادي يعني مو مرة.
Ella put something here on my notepad saying there's a glitch with the Diamondback right now on PvP apparently. I don't know what, like, just to keep that in mind. So sorry for interrupting you guys over there.
Sure.
If you have any information on like what's going on with that, let us know. I know there's PvP changes coming. I just received them today. But if there's anything that you guys see currently on the PTS that has to do with PvP, with certain weapons or whatever, this is exactly why we want your feedback on the PTS. So if there's anything that you guys see, please report it on the forum so that, you know, the guys at Redstorm and all guys here at Massive can look at it and you know, figure out if something's broken or if it's maybe because one change only made it halfway in. We just wanted to address that real quick while chat was talking about it. So come back to you guys over there. We talked about, you know, more players in there. We have better supply drops, or, you know, different supply drops as well. We have a new Thieves vendor, or Thieves Den vendor, I should say. And then ambushes are, you know, making night terrors happen for everybody. But one thing that we heard players talk about is that, and you brought it up at the beginning, is knowing exactly what you is sometimes a little bit confusing. And, you know, the UI didn't give you exactly what was going on. But also the normalization sometimes felt a little bit too punishing, or
هذا تكلموا عنها في البث اللي قبل هذا الأسبوع اللي فات. بس ما قدرت أشتغل عليه. لكن صار تغييرات مرة كثير، مرة كثير.
So we're making changes in TO6. Can you walk us through that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the whole point of the normalization was to let more people play together, right? Get people on an even playing field and let them jump in and have fun together no matter where they're at in the game, right? We have adjusted normalization multiple times already throughout, but this is probably the biggest change that we've made so far. And basically, we're getting rid of really the concept of normalization at endgame. So now, if you're gear score 500, you've recalibrated, you got all your plus 100 bonuses, when you go into any PvP environment, like Conflict or Dark Zone, you're going to have those normalization bonuses. Recalibration bonuses. And we don't want to basically take any power away from you. We want all your time investment to actually matter, and you will have that slight advantage over other players. However, we are keeping the kind of boosting to 500 for everyone below, right? That is the key of it. Getting more people playing together, letting you feel like you can jump in at any point. We want to keep that, but we want to give those endgame players, you know, all the stuff that they've already earned.
Yeah, you worked for it.
Yeah, you worked really hard for it at this point, right? There's still some things like some talents still have their normalization versions. So you'll be able to still toggle in the inventory and see the changes to talents. But for things that are, you know, PvP modifiers, damage modifiers, skill modifiers, which there are more of now, in the next wave of the PTS, you'll be able to actually see those things displayed in the UI, which I think is just going to help a ton with clarity. When you can open up a weapon and see, you know, PvP damage specifically, or PvP cooldown on a skill specifically, it just makes the whole experience suddenly make so much more sense. You can really play
ما إلى الآن ما في أي شيء مرة واو. أشياء كلها عادية.
PvP specific activity that UI should default to the PvP talent.
نبغى نسمع شيء كويس تكفون.
Yeah. And, you know, I think probably people at this point have seen there are a lot of talent changes came in that Wave 1 PTS. One thing that wasn't explicitly said is we have removed a lot of the kind of normalization PvP versions of talents for some of the offensive talents, right? We want to make sure, you know, players going into more offensive-oriented builds get that full power, and they're a little more on par with really toughness oriented builds. So that's another thing that's just going to kind of refresh PvP, and that'll be a lot clearer in the next wave of the PTS when you can really see the numbers.
Yeah, I think that is like one of the biggest features for me. Like just UI clarity is something that we struggled a bit, not only in PvP, but like as you said, you just go into the PvP zone. You don't have to think about like, do I have to toggle something? Do I have to look at this differently? It will just show me. And I think that is really powerful. And I just want to also like to everybody who's watching, like we talked about recalibration changes last week. They now are much more juicy for PvP players as well, because they are actually impactful in that way as well. Cool.
Yep, for sure.
When we're talking about DZ and like also PvP in general conflict, obviously we also have something in mind for like what the meta looks like. And I think Keith, you just bumped it a little bit where you said like there will be more builds. Like we want you to maximize your build and your recalibration. Where do you think like I don't want to say meta, but like what do you think people will experience when they go into the GZ with all the changes coming into it?
حياك الله يا مهند.
Builds, different styles of play. Like what are you guys like expecting?
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting, with TU5, right, skills became a lot more powerful, and you saw them creep in a little bit, but nothing fully overtook kind of the very kind of like tanky DPS build, right? And there weren't a ton of options for how you would even build that build, so it gets a little too predictable. So a lot of the work we've done is to give players more options to build the way they want to play, and also really buff up the offensive-oriented builds so that, you actually have different, very viable options of what you want to jump into PvP with. I think it's going to definitely refresh the experience. And for those skill-oriented players, I think lots of little signs and feedback improvements for PvP specifically help
عليكم السلام ورحمة يا
make
المحمدي.
using skills in PvP more comfortable for both the attacker
انسوا
and
انسوا
the person,
البلدات
using
القديمة
the skill.
انسوا.
Cool. I think that is something that I'm
حق
looking forward
Division
to,
1
like,
انسوها.
more builds that are not only focused on armor or like how long can I stay alive, but like using different parts of the game basically in PvP. I think is what we're looking forward to as well. And we love to
ايش قصدك فيديو
feedback,
التفريم يا جي
once
ام؟
that wave 2 is out and you guys can get into that. So I see we're already running
absolutely.
pretty late on time, but we have lots of changes still coming in front of us. So we're just going to keep digging through this. Next up is conflict. And that we talked about this at the beginning. Conflict, not conflict, but like we want to incentivize things a little bit better for PvP players. And we have a bunch of changes coming for that, specifically for conflict. So one thing is that the end of game, like the rewards that you're getting for playing a match, are changing. What is that about?
So, there were 3 rewards, right, that you could get out of conflict. There was,
الحين قاعد أتكلم
I
عن
won the
جوائز
match, I
طول
ranked
الأربعة
up,
ضد
or I
أربعة.
got a new
لا
high
تتغير.
score. New high score was fun in the
عليكم
beginning
السلام
when
ورحمة
you
يا
were kind
جماعة.
of actually chasing new high scores,
when
and
you got it.
when you got it and you're like, oh, I did it. But, we can look at the data and see that most people playing conflict reached their max high score a while ago, and now there's just this dead reward that you're never going to get it again, or you're going to get it very rarely. So we've got rid of the reward associated with that, and we've just added a much more basic but much more rewarding match complete reward. So now anyone who plays, regardless of winning or losing, is going to get something for their time investment for playing.
You got to stay.
You got to
finish.
You got to finish. You got to stick around.
Yeah.
But it definitely makes the experience a lot more rewarding and more on par with other activities in the game.
Cool. Yeah, I think
it's a simple change, but it's an appreciated one, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Again, time to value, right? That ratio has to be better.
Yeah.
And I think also like as you said, like the time, but then the one more, I think is also a nice little feature where it's like, okay, I got this, and it was really cool, and I'm just going to play one more match. I'm just going to play one more round, and I think that would be also a very, very cool change for.
Yeah, it's short, it's quick, it's snappy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're at.
You got 10 minutes, right?
Yeah. Everyone has 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then along the lines of trying to incentivize things more, conflict was one of the only activities in the game that didn't really have a daily or a weekly project.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to, for the players out there playing conflict, we wanted to, let you experience that system as well. So now there's an all-the-time weekly conflict project that you can work towards
اوكي في مشاريع اسبوعيه ضافوها خاصه في اطوار الاربعه
project will now
والكلام ده.
alternate between a daily Dark Zone project and a daily conflict project. So to get those PvP players, making some choices about what do I want to play today, which thing do I want to jump into.
الابر هذه ترى مخلينا مره للضروره القصوى. انه مو تدرعم في الواحد تفك الابره وانت ماشي، لا هم النظام هذا ما يبغون اساسا من البدايه يتكلم عنه، يبغون لعب تكتيكي مو تدرعم في الوجه وعلى بالك انه خلاص تقدر تهيل بكل شيء عندك، لا هم ما يبغون كذا. لكن كل لعيبه ديفيجن 1 على بالهم انه الابره لازم تشتغل وهم مدرعمين.
Cool. So,
no, for sure. You jump in, there's like a million things to do in our game. It's good to have a little nudge every once in a while.
Yeah. Excellent. So now we talked about Dark Zone, we talked about PvP, making the zones feel bigger, more active, more supply drops, different supply drops, ODZ.
Yep.
There's lots of balance changes that are coming in Wave 2. We have seen players saying like, oh, these are all the balance changes or all the changes on the PvP. No. So again, Phase 2 PTS will have more things. But something that we haven't talked about yet at all is something that you guys basically brought to us yesterday, and we're very excited to talk about this today, which is a new PvP mode. So what are we doing with TU6?
في طور جديد للبي في بي للاونلاين. ايش هو حنشوف الحين.
Real quick, before we talk about that cool new mode,
more.
I just want to give a shout out to the team that there's a lot of polish on the experience of Conflict too. A lot of hard work went into just giving it a better treatment as far as audio and visuals and
everything from loading screens to the victory music.
اللي على اليسار هم حاقين الدارك زون مو اللي على اليمين. يا احمد.
Took it to the next step, and I'd also be remiss to not mention the fact that you can now switch loadouts during map voting.
Oh yes.
Yeah, man.
That's actually
I've wanted that since day one.
Yeah.
That's actually
little simple thing.
So
we're making sure that improving the experience, not just
عليكم السلام ورحمة
جميعا. Improving what was already there. So now we can talk
before you move on, I just want to
والله انا اصلا نادرا جدا استخدم الابره. خلاص يا هيلي يا اني اتكي على الجدار شوي عادي. الابره زمان ما استخدمتها.
Because we're also hyped about what's coming next, but
يعني جدا ما فرقت معايا.
Also Ella wants me to tell you like once we show some of the mode you might be muted, so we'll give you a heads up.
اوكي راح على كلام حيورونا شويه من الطور الجديد حق الاونلاين اللي جاي مع التحديث الجاي.
All right, so we are adding team elimination. Round-based team elimination, more hardcore, one life to live. It's a best of 7 rounds. Whoever gets the most wins.
عليكم السلام ورحمة ناصر.
It's just a more hardcore experience, a more tactical experience. You really have to work with your team, and it's a whole new thing to experience because there's new boosts. There's a team revive boost. There's proximity pulse boosts. It really just evolves what you've been playing and kind of makes it just super fresh, and it's going to just get inserted into the existing playlist, so it's a new thing you can vote on.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching the teams' play styles adapt to this new mode, right? It's, with things like, TDM and Dom, it's just, you're kind of incentivized to just die and go and die
absolutely.
and go, right?
It's a meat grinder.
It's a meat grinder, and we appreciate that. So this changes that altogether, where, teams, all right, let's slow down. Let's slow down. Let's think about it. How we do skill cooldowns and so on and so forth. Like, when do I really want to use that skill? A lot of tactics, like, feels really good to play, and the team did a great job on it.
Yeah, and because you're with those 4 people, and every time someone dies, you feel the loss.
Yeah.
There's so many more moments that you can just be that clutch hero, which is just awesome, right?
When the hero moments.
Yeah, when you get to like 3-1 and you manage to pull it back and win the round that gives your team the full victory. Best feeling ever.
He's the hero right here. This
absolutely
guy,
not.
He's always.
That is
I'm always
a lie.
It's not a lie. It's not a lie.
Cool.
So yeah, it's super exciting.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Awesome.
We're looking forward to feedback on it.
Yes. So let's show the chat and the streams a little bit of that. Keep in mind this is a work in progress build.
حنشوف الحين شوية من الطور الجديد.
Some things that might change a little bit, or they're not as polished as they will be when the game or the patch.
بس طبعا الطور مو جاهز بالكامل فهذا لسه تحت البرمجة والشغل حقهم.
There it comes. So yeah, as Keith and Terry said, like this is a complete new mode, team elimination. It's coming to the second wave of the PTS.
اوكي 4 لاعبين 4
oh,
لاعبين
LSS, you can also talk
ما زاد
I'll
العدد.
just give it back to you guys and you can maybe talk a little bit about the strategy involved in all this.
طبعا التشويش من عندهم هم اساسا.
I'll say that it's not mind-breaking, strategy. It really is work together with your team.
Yeah.
And understand that if you
اوكي
try to
نظام
play hero
راوندات.
and you die, you're going
4 ضد 4 اذا نتفت التيم اللي قدامك خلاص فزت في الراوند.
understanding where your teammates are, and we've all.
بس ما ادري هل فيها ريفايف ولا لا؟
Yeah, I love PvP modes like this.
It was just missing from the Division 2 repertoire. So, being able to coordinate and
ما إلى الآن ماني شايف فيها ريفايف. هي 4 ضد 4 ما أدري في طور في كود لعيبة كود أعطونا الاسم حقه ماني عارف شو بالضبط. نظام راوندات زي كذا. أنا جربت شيء شبيه فيه 2 ضد 2 في كود. في البيتا حقت مودرن وورفير.
Because you're going to get pushed back to the checkpoint. It's going to be a full team wipe. Those moments are intense. Now you can have some of that in conflict as well.
Yep.
That sounds really fun. I think that's going to be a big thing to test out, and as we just learned today, it will come to PTS Wave 2, so we'll want to have a lot of feedback on this. Just obviously there will also still be a little bit of bugs in there, to keep that in mind.
اوكي اللي عندهم ديفيجن على البيسي ديفيجن 2 يقدروا يجربوا البي تي اس عاد يشوفون ايش الطور هذا ايش وضعه بالضبط.
And we'll have news on that in a couple of days, but again I just want to say thank you to the team at Redstorm as well that they make something like this happen and then they just bring it to us and it's there for you to test. So
شوف سكرمش زمان ما لعبته ماني متذكر اذا كان سكرمش عدد ذبحات معين هذا لا هذا اذا خلصت التيم خلاص انت فزت في الراوند كذا.
Cool. I think we have talked extensively about all the changes coming in. Did we miss anything? Do you guys want to add anything from your side that you were like, I want Twitch chat and Mixer chat and YouTube chat to know this is happening?
I just want to say that it's been a journey on Division 2 right now, and seeing how normalization's evolved and the dark zone's evolved, and now getting to add game modes and all this polish into conflict. The team's been hard at work on it the whole time, and we're really excited for you to play TU6.
Yeah, watching the entire game evolve since release has been pretty tremendous.
Oh yeah.
Seeing the agility, if I can toot Massive's horn for a minute and just say the incredible work they've put into with listening to the community and listening and watching data and making changes. It's always awe-inspiring, and being able to contribute to that for TU6 has been great.
Yeah, awesome. Some smart people over there.
Yep.
Over there with you guys also. Just so we don't want to hear humble brags. So you guys have been awesome for us as well. Me as a community developer, I just want to say working with Terry and Keith has been nothing short but fantastic. Obviously Terry at E3 rocking the stage was a mind-blowing experience as well. So if we can bring them up on the big screen again one more time and say goodbye to them for today, because we're going to move on to the Asian highlights, but they can at least wave to us, Ella. Say bye, chat. Thank you very much, guys. Cool. We're back.
بس كذا خلاص خلص التحديث كالعادة في بثوثهم ثواني.
I think it was a really cool time to have them here. So if you liked what they did, please feel free to.
كالعادة في البثوث حقتهم يعطونك أشياء بسيطة مو مرة أشياء كثير كتفاصيل بس يعطونك الأشياء الأساسية اللي جاية في الطور اللي هم متكلمين عنه مثلا البي في بي الاونلاين والدارك زون. فشفتوا التغييرات اللي تكلمت عنها في بداية البث حقت الدارك زون والسبلاي والمعالم. ايش في كمان الطور الأربعة ضد أربعة. في حاجة ثالثة تكلمت عنها بس صراحة طارت من راسي حاليا ولكن الأسبوع الجاي اوكي لما ينزل لما تنزل الموجة الثانية حقت البي تي اس اللي حيكون فيها كل الإضافات اللي تكلم عنها هذه حتنزل معلومات التحديث في المنتدى حقهم حتنزل كل المعلومات بالتفاصيل يعني حيكون شيء مرة كثير. فوقتها بقراها وبشوف إذا كان فيها شيء جدا يعني كويس ومفرح حتكلم عنها. إذا كانت الأشياء يعني بديهية وعادية حنشوفها مع التحديث لما ينزل التحديث بشكل رئيسي وكامل لأنه الأشياء اللي في بي تي اس مو دائما ثابتة. أوكي ممكن أنت يقولوا لك إنه والله الطور هذا حيكون 4 ضد 4 ماشي حيكون التيم إذا خلص إذا مات التيم كامل خلاص انتهى الراوند. ممكن هذا الشيء هم اللي قالوه حاليا، ولكن لما تنزل يعني لما ينزل التحديث بشكل كامل في تلقى اشياء تلقاها متغيره. ممكن صار مو 4 ضد 4، ممكن تصير عادي، ممكن تصير 5 ضد 5، او انها 4 ضد 4 ولكن تقدر تسوي ريفايف للتيم حقك خلال 30 ثانيه من الموتة حقته. اذا قدرت تسوي له ريفايف انت كذا عادي تقدر تكمل جيمك. ممكن التغييرات قابله انها تكون متواجده خلال الموجه الثانيه للبي تي اس والموجه الثالثه. طبعا هذه كلها تغييرات تعتبر عاديه بالنسبه للاضافه الاساسيه للتحديث. الاضافه الاساسيه للتحديث قالوا انه ما راح ننزلها عندكم في البي تي اس، راح نخليها مباشره لكم في التحديث الرئيسي الكامل عشان ما نقعد نحرق الشيء عليكم، يعني نحرق الاضافه الاساسيه عليكم. نشوفها ان شاء الله الاضافه الاساسيه حقتهم، ولكن كتغييرات مبدئيه هنا شيء جدا حلو، لكن مو الشيء اللي مره اسطوري من ناحيه دارك زون. فعموما هذه اللي زي انت شايفين احنا قدامكم صور من عادي الناس اللي تلعب اللعبه، راسل الصور هذه لهم في تويتر، فهم كذا كل نهايه بث يعرضون الصور هذه. عموما خلص البث حقهم خلاص، ما في اي حاجه ثانيه، خلينا نوقفه. بس خلاص كذا انا خلصت البث هذا. انا طبعا سويت البث لحاجتين، اول شيء اجرب طريقة انه اتابع بثهم ونتكلم عن الاشياء مباشرة في البث، في البث حقي انا، وفي نفس الوقت اختبر نتي في اني اتابع بث وفي نفس الوقت قاعد افتح بث لكم عشان اشوف كيف الوضع. بس مبدئيا شفت جودة النت كانت كويسة لين آخر البث بدأت تتحول إلى برتقالي وأحمر، فبدأ يضعف النت في الأخير. ما أدري هل هو أنه الكمبيوتر احتر ولا إيش بالضبط، ما أدري. بس عموما يعني سوى أداء كويس الحمد لله. إلى هنا يكون انتهى هذا البث، والبث حقهم في نفس الوقت انتهى. إن عجبتكم الفكرة هذه اكتبوا في التعليقات عشان يصير كل بث لهم في يعني كل أسبوع إذا كان في شيء مرة مهم نفتح البث ونتكلم فيه مباشرة خلال كلامهم هم على المعلومات. من ناحية فورتنايت صبركم أنا قاعد أشتغل أساسا على توين بيكس. أنا عندي الحمايات اللي بخلصها اللي هي حق 30 موجة، فصبركم قاعد أضبط البناء فيها. غير كذا ممكن إن شاء الله بكرة أو بعده على حسب كيف الوضع عندي حفتح بث وحنلعب فيه بشكل عشوائي، سواء كان زومبي باتل رويال، الزومبي نلعب حمايات أو نلعب هيد ذا رود اللي هو الحدث ما يندرى. فيب خلاص أنا كذا خلصت، يعطيكم العافية ونشوفكم على خير، مع السلام عليكم.